Hello, I'm Alexandra Sleator, Career Accelerator, and that means that working together you will get to achieve your career aspirations faster than you would on your own. Indeed, together we can really target a wide range of challenges in professional life. First of all, we can help you, of course, progress your career. And we can do that either by devising a strategy which will ensure you get the promotion that you target and deserve. But more broadly, we can help you to think about the next stage of your career and to position yourself well, for example, by repackaging your skills so that you can make a bid for a role that's more different and that will stretch you and interest you. We can help you in your career right here, right now, by notably working on such fundamental skills as communication, but I mean they are persuasion and influence, for example, or managing conflict. We can help you present with even more confidence, as public speaking is often part of growing oneself in the workplace and having the right visibility. We can help you with team motivation, with personal effectiveness, with handling change, embracing change, that sort of challenge and more. And last but not least, we can help you return to the workforce after a break and rejoin quickly and successfully. And we can also help you redefine what success is. If you're interested in moving to a role that's significantly different and maybe involves switching industry. This is just a flavor of the sort of things that we can work together on so that you get to achieve your career aspirations faster than you would on your own in a time and cost-effective way. So welcome to this last edition in the summer of 2014 of Career Tips, and today we are going to look at something completely different. Again, in the last two offerings, the previous 2 months, we looked at the notion of happiness at work. After all, we spend so much time in the office. Shouldn't we expect to be somewhat satisfied with the quality of our life at work? And so to that purpose, I proposed in the first instance a self-assessment, a bit of a self-test that walks you through a series of questions in order that you can indeed come up with a view of your own happiness at work. Then in the follow-up articles, we looked at what you can do to maintain a happy demeanor at work, a poise, a composure, so that you can be more resilient in front of, faced with all the irritations, varied and multiple irritations that are just part and parcel of life in the office. And today we're continuing with something a little bit different yet again, which is away from career tips and techniques that I usually focus on, to discuss the topic of high achievers and high achievement in the office. Indeed, high achievers are a bit of a special breed of people in the workplace. They behave a little bit differently than the majority of colleagues. And in fact, I met quite a few of them. I worked alongside many during my corporate career, and many are now clients in this new career of mine in coaching. And in fact, I have to own up to it. I was a high achiever myself, and to some extent I believe I still am, though I also think I've toned myself down. So this offering this month is really dedicated to two kinds of people. The first ones are those of you who believe you are high achievers, and you will know yourselves. And this is with a view to maybe looking at ways of doing things a little bit differently, approaching your work life with a little bit of a different mindset, because there is a high price to pay for high achievement. But this offering is also targeting managers who have high achievers in their teams, and offering food for thought for how to manage that different kind of professional. So with this idea of food for thought, let me propose indeed 5 thoughts for you, the high achiever or the manager of high achievers, to consider. So the first one I call the I need to be great angle. And indeed, the high achiever is characterized by the fact that they are only happy if they get a lot done. And they like in particular to excel at some things. So this is a very task-orientated person, a very results-orientated individual, and indeed that is typically somewhat positive in the office, because when people get things done, well, the employer is usually rather happy. But for the individual itself, this can be very pressurizing, and it can also be oppressive for the people around him or her. Because there is a never-ending pressure to go from one task to the next with unrelenting pressure. And because of this task focus, it's what this means is that the person is really preoccupied with what they get done. They seem to be managing themselves against an endless to-do list, and as a result, they are not always as connected as they might be to how they get things done. It's like they don't understand the value of their skills and talents sometimes, because they're always looking at the bottom line rather than the process of achievement. It's like they're saying to themselves, who am I beyond my achievements? It's like they think that without something tangible to show for it, they're not worthy. And that explains this never-ending, relentless drive to achieve. So to you, the high achiever, let me encourage you to take a pause and consider how are you delivering? You know, what makes you capable of achieving? How do you achieve rather than what do you achieve? Indeed, it's true that employers do compensate us for the results we deliver, but they also value our competencies and how we deliver. Those are the ways that we differentiate, in fact, ourselves from the competition, our unique selling points, to use a bit of marketing lingo. So take some time to think about how you contribute, and maybe that will give you a way to also position yourself to be better rewarded. To the manager of high achievers, my suggestion is to adopt a coaching posture and in fact encourage these individuals in your team to reflect on how they got to the end results, how they delivered those results, to encourage them maybe to take a little bit away of that pressure that they heap on themselves. So that's the first food for thought around that I need to be great. The second food for thought is what I call the I know better syndrome. Indeed, the high achiever, which is results orientated, is often self-centered. Note that I didn't say selfish, but rather self-preoccupied, because of course, when you're very focused on getting things done, you can usually command vast amounts of concentration. So that capacity to focus can also at times, however, mean a bit of tunnel vision, right? The high achiever is only focused on their work, on getting the work done. So indeed, what it means in terms of a team perspective is that the high achiever is typically not going to be fantastic at teamwork. They could be a little bit socially awkward, or at least lacking in some element of cordiality. So and so in fact it's like their attitude is, you know, leave me alone, you know, I can do it all on my own, I know everything that I need to know, and possibly I know better. So again, not an attitude that is always very cordial and clearly not always very collaborative. And so with this in mind, given the importance that firms give to teamwork, my suggestion to you, the high achiever, is to lift your nose a little bit from the task at hand and look around you within your team or just your colleagues at large and think, you know, who could actually help you get things done, and who could you help achieve an even better standards. Try a little bit of give and take. To the manager of high achievers, I encourage you to combat that self-preoccupation tendency that the high achievers in your team will display by forcing them to be part of a project where they must collaborate with others. They won't like it, but it's a little bit like children going to kindergarten. They have to learn to share, and those are skills that will serve them well later on in life. So force your high achievers away from their lonely attitude and teach them gradually how to cooperate, how to reap the benefit of collaboration. So that was the second food for thought, this I know better syndrome that I advise high achievers and their managers to be aware of and maybe to fight against a little bit. Third food for thought is the what's mine is mine approach. So I just said that the high achiever is task focused, results orientated and self-preoccupied. And indeed what that leads to is a fair bit of controlling behavior. The high achiever typically wants to be in charge of a task from A to Z, so that they can control the output, they can control the quality, the nature of the output, and the timing of the output. Collaborating with people is seen as a risk, that in fact they will not be able to control the projects, and that there could be inferences from people. So people are not seen as bringing value, which is why they're reluctant to collaborate, as I just said, but in fact it's not a neutral view of people, it's indeed a negative view that people could get in the way. So that means that as part of a team, the high achiever is not going to be very good at teamwork, and that as a manager, if they get promoted to that role, they are typically going to find it hard to delegate. So to you, the high achiever, and building up on my recommendation just a few minutes ago, to consider giving and taking, to look at the strengths of your fellow workers and tapping into them to get your stuff done, and in counterpart to also lend a hand, bringing your talents, if you become more aware of how you deliver, to help them achieve as well, and broadening the range of what you consider to be your achievements to have more of a team view gradually. Ask yourself, what would it take to trust someone with a piece of work, to trust someone to collaborate, to trust someone to delegate. And to the manager of high achiever, in addition to that coaching posture to encourage your high achiever to reflect, in order to forcing a little bit your high achiever to collaborate by putting them as part of a team project, then pay attention to the risk that high achievers, by being controlling, could in fact not out of any meanness, but just as a byproduct of this tunnel vision, this focus, this keenness to control, they could steamroll others. And clearly that sort of behavior is not going to be seen positively in the workplace. And the risk is that the high achiever, who is not aware of how their behavior impacts others, could in fact end up with a negative reputation. They could be branded negatively as arrogant and self-serving. And clearly that is not going to serve them well when it comes to career advancement. Yes, their achievements will speak for them, but their attitude will not. So that's why this is all about the challenges of high achievements, because it is skewed, and I'm of course sure that you've seen that by now. So that was the third food for thought around that what mine is mine kind of approach, that controlling element of the high achiever's behavior. Fourth, the I'll show you motivation. Now what is that about? Well, again, we've said that the high achiever is motivated by tasks, the unrelenting will to get things done, always more things done, and they put enormous pressure on themselves, but to some extent on others by ricochet as well, and they risk in fact burning out for some of them. They have, as we've seen, little if no interest in collaborating with others because they see cooperation as a risk rather than an opportunity. And in a management position, they will struggle with delegation, empowering team members. And so what we see emerging gradually through this depiction of the high achiever is a self that defines itself solely in terms of its accomplishment. Right? The higher achiever is an accomplisher. And that's a very rigid, very inflexible type of self-identity. And that's why I call it the I'll show you motivation, because it's all about those achievements that you showcase, that you produce, that you deliver. And much less about who you are on the inside, how you get things done, how you collaborate, who you are as a human being, and not just as a producer. And in fact, this whole notion of production has me thinking of Stakhanov, who was that Russian worker who became very famous because he was producing more than anybody else. And so there is this notion of Stakhanovism, which is this relentless drive to produce. But Stakhanovism is rather unhealthy over time. Clearly I'm aware of it, a type of individual which seems not to be so appealing. Who would want to be like that, right? And in fact, why would management condone behavior like the ones I've described? Because they don't seem to be particularly positive, if for the fact that, again, there is a lot of delivery going on there. But indeed, that's what we see. A lot of corporates, maybe not all of them, but many, will encourage that kind of behavior because it produces good results, drives up the profits. And so, sadly, high achievers are encouraged and rewarded, and often with promotions that they can't really assume because they don't have management skills. As we've seen, the high achiever is not really interested in either collaboration or delegation, which are the sort of basic elements, to grow yourself into a manager after a while. So the life of the high achiever is one which is, yes, probably characterized by some measure of recognition and financial reward, but it's also a life of intense pressure, punctuated by moments of exhilaration when they finish a task. But those are brief, they're gone, and then the new task come in. So what I want to say to you, the high achiever, and remember, I was one of you, and in fact I still consider myself, and I have a high achiever, and I have to fight those tendencies to go on and on at the next task. And again, this is not me saying let's not produce, it's just finding that balance. The notion here is of the price to be paid by the individual. What price are you paying for your high achievement? Is it worth it? And then for the manager who has an entire team to look after, what is the price paid, of course, for that one team member, by that one team member for the kind of behavior that they have? And what is the price that the others in the team pay for having one or more high achievers among them when they're not all high achievers? So there is a sense that maybe the high achiever needs to be tamed, that there is something a little bit excessive there that could be a little bit more rounded off, if you see what I mean, because there are some sharp edges to high achievement. And that notion of is it worth it? And indeed, the last food for thought I want to share with you is the I'm not weak delusion that is part of high achievements. So you see, this is a bit more of a reflective sort of offering, less indeed, as I said earlier, about tips and techniques to be effective in the office, but more I want to raise the flag on what is effectively a myth, the myth that success in the office has to come from a behavior that because it is so focused on achievement does indeed deliver, but does also implicitly mean a fair amount of self-sacrifice, and also sacrificing others, sacrificing collaboration, sacrificing delegation, and which I believe over the long run is not healthy and simply not sustainable. So let me, since I have started this sort of character assassination of the high achiever profile, to say that not only is the life of the high achiever not really happy, although again, like I said, they will have moments of of ecstasy when they get some things done, but then that is, as I say, very fleeting. But because because the high achiever is very task-focused and self-preoccupied, they can be quite lonely. In fact, they want to be left alone. But that means that when they encounter a difficulty, they have to face it on their own. So they could very much be struggling and not share it, and they struggle alone and unheard, unseen, unhelped. So that's where I want to end, which is with, I'm not here to criticize the high achiever. After all, like I said, why would I criticize something that I think there is lots of value? But this notion of maybe there's a little bit of a sharp edge there. And so it's to end on a note of compassion. It is so pressurizing, so unrelenting to be a high achiever. If they face complexity, they're not going to be able to have the help of others to make sense of the difficulty. And in particular, because they're so task-focused, there will be an imbalance in terms of their skill set and capabilities, which means that they typically will lack interpersonal skills, which are fundamental to get on in the workplace, to get some career advancement later on in the later stage of promotions, when it's not just about your technical skills. So to you, the high achiever, I want to say, are you trapped in a mode of operation, in a way of being in the office that you feel is gradually, slowly sucking the life out of you? And if you are, take a pause. Reflect, value how you do things, start sharing of your talents, start collaborating and using other people's strengths to get your stuff done, but theirs as well. And to the manager of high achievers, indeed, I want to end on that note of be compassionate. That person that seems to not have a care in the world, who seem only to think about the next task and the next delivery, could in fact be struggling in silence. So there you have it, 5 thoughts about the high achiever and the high price of high achievement that those folks who are in that mode of work will be paying. And so sometimes high achievers are resented. Some people find them difficult to be around, and yet those people have so much to offer, but they need to be encouraged to grow beyond that task focus. I hope that you haven't found me too harsh, and if I've seemed so, it is really to raise the alarm bell. And so I want to encourage all of you, high achievers and managers of high achievers, to look at the risk that an ingrained, recurrent, never-ending behavior of high achievements represents. The risks for the individual and the risk for the team that they are part of. So I hope that in conclusion this will have provided a little bit of a different sort of dialogue today around that notion of high achievement. As usual, I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. You can always drop me a line in the box below this video, or of course write me directly, and my email address is appearing on the screen right now. Thank you so much for listening, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, and to high achievers, best wishes, and to their managers, the same. Thank you so much for listening, take good care, and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.